Egyptian temples are monumental structures dedicated to the worship of gods and pharaohs. These temples served as religious, political, and cultural centers throughout ancient Egypt's history. Temples were built in almost every major city, with the most famous ones located in Upper Egypt along the Nile River. I'll introduce the main temple sites and the historical context of the earliest constructions in under 10 minutes. 1. Karnak Temple, Thebes/Luxor. Location: Luxor, Ancient Thebes, Upper Egypt. Dedicated primarily to Amonisare, the king of the gods, though it includes shrines for other deities. Description: Karnak is one of the largest religious complexes ever built and was a focal point of worship for more than 1,500 years. It features grand pylons, obelisks, and the famous hypostyle hall with its massive columns. Construction began during the Middle Kingdom, but most of the additions occurred during the New Kingdom, circa 1550 to 1070 BC. 2. Luxor Temple. Location: Luxor, Upper Egypt. Dedicated to Ammonius, Mut, his consort, and their son Khonsu. Description: This temple was a key part of the Opet festival, during which the gods' statues were paraded between Karnak and Luxor. Pharaohs like Amenhotep III and Ramses II contributed to its construction. 3. Abu Simbel, Nubia. Location: near the southern border with modern-day Sudan. Dedicated to Ramses II, depicted as a god, and the gods Ammonius, Are-Horikti, and Ptah. Description: Carved into a mountainside during Ramses II's reign, 1279 to 1213 BC, these rock temples are famous for their colossal statues. The temple is aligned so that twice a year, sunlight illuminates the statues in the inner sanctum. 4. Philae Temple, Aswan. Location: an island in the Nile near Aswan. Dedicated to the goddess Isis. Description: This temple was one of the last major sites of ancient Egyptian religion, surviving well into the Greco-Roman period. It became a center of the Isis cult, which was popular in Egypt and the Roman Empire. 5. Temple of Hatshepsut, Deir el-Bahari. Location: near Luxor, on the west bank of the Nile. Dedicated to the god Ammonius and Hatshepsut, the female pharaoh. Description: Built by Hatshepsut, circa 1479 to 1458 BC, the temple is notable for its unique terraces that blend into the surrounding cliffs. It's one of the finest examples of mortuary temple architecture. 6. Temple of Edfu. Location: Edfu, Upper Egypt. Dedicated to Horus, the falcon god. Description: The best preserved temple from ancient Egypt, built during the Ptolemaic period, 237 to 57 BC. It showcases traditional Egyptian temple design, including large pylons, courtyards, and a sanctuary. First temple constructions. The earliest known temples in Egypt date to the early dynastic period, circa 3150 to 2613 BC. Temples at this time were relatively simple, often constructed from mud brick or wood. However, the first monumental stone temple is generally considered to be the pyramid complex of Djoser at Saqqara, circa 2670 BC, designed by the architect Imhotep. It includes an early temple complex dedicated to the cult of the deceased king. Temples became more sophisticated during the Old Kingdom, circa 2613 to 2181 BC, with the development of the sun temples of pharaohs like Userkaf and User and Abusir, which were open-air structures dedicated to the sun god Ra. Temple functions. Worship. Daily rituals were performed by priests, including offerings and prayers to the gods. Ordinary people were often not allowed inside the inner sanctum. Pharaoh's connection to divinity. Temples reinforced the divine status of the pharaoh, who was seen as an intermediary between the gods and the people. Economic hubs. Temples controlled vast lands and resources, making them vital to Egypt's economy. They owned granaries, workshops, and even had their own workforce. In summary, Egyptian temples were central to the civilization's religious, political, and social life. They evolved from modest structures to grand stone complexes, with the first monumental constructions dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE. The main temple sites like Karnak, Abu Simbel, and Luxor remain iconic representations of ancient Egypt's architectural and spiritual legacy.